Let's talk Antoine Walker. He's going to be a polarizing figure depending on how you rate players. And just remember, when you are ranking players, you're comparing them against each other. They can all be really good, but one of them has to be just a hair better. And so vacuum statements like, this guy's a 3-time All-Star, without context or comparison to other players, doesn't add much. And if we look at Antoine Walker and say that he is a 3-time All-Star, we have to ask ourselves how many other guys have been 3-time All-Stars. That answer is 255. And some of those guys, like a Derrick Rose, have an MVP added on, or have other All-NBA first-team accolades. If we compare all of that the same way the Matrix looks at every player, he ends up being 291st, just for awards. Now, awards are not how you should rank players. They're just one factor that the Matrix uses to look at guys. I don't need to get too much into it, but just contextualize this. Now, if we dig into the stats pillar of the Matrix, there are two very different tales about Antoine Walker. Now, if we look at Antoine Walker's raw stats, points, rebounds, assists, the per-game numbers, or the career totals, he's between 105 and 137 when ranked against all other NBA players in those time periods. Looking at Walker through this lens paints the picture that he is an elite scorer, one of the best players in the league. But I think we need to balance that out. And the Matrix uses win shares here, both as like a proxy for his contributions to winning and just a general catch-all advanced metric because it can go all the way back to 1947. And when we look at win shares, the way the Matrix does, there are between 516 and 584 players better than Antoine Walker in these different time periods. And when we see that number, we can look at Antoine Walker and see that between 98 and 03, he is on a 40-win team just 2 times. And when he's on those teams, they're being primarily driven by Paul Pierce. Another thing that hurts Walker in the win shares is that although he's putting up good points per game, he's a really inefficient shooter. There is not a single year in his career where he is above league average in true shooting. Walker has 6 seasons where he's in the top 10 in shot attempts, but only 2 where he's in the top 10 in points per game. I think if we could rerun Walker's career in an ideal setting, he would be the 3rd guy, kind of like what Glenn Rice was to a Kobe and Shaq. However, we still run into the problem with Antoine Walker not being a good defensive player. We do get to see Walker kind of take on that role in Miami as the 3rd offensive creator, and it doesn't go great for him. They get the ring, but if we look at his averages throughout the playoffs, not the best.